I always believed wedding anniversaries were supposed to feel warm, like a soft pause in life where love reminded you why you chose each other. This was our 5th anniversary, 5 years of shared bills, shared grief, shared dreams. I woke up that morning smiling, already imagining the quiet dinner I had planned. No guests, no drama, just us. I had even taken the day off without telling him. I wanted to surprise my husband, Samir, the way I used to when we were newly married, back when his smile didn't feel rehearsed. The house was quiet when I woke up. My mother-in-law had already left for her morning Quran class, and my younger sister-in-law, Sana, was still asleep in her room. We lived together, a joint family blessing, as everyone loved to call it. I called it compromise. I was in the kitchen preparing breakfast when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. On anniversaries, people usually sent late wishes, not early messages, but something in my chest tightened. I wiped my hands and opened the message. It was a video. No text, no explanation, just a video file and one line underneath. You deserve the truth before you celebrate lies. My hands went cold. I stood there staring at the screen for almost a full minute before pressing play. The video was shaky, clearly recorded in secret. It showed a familiar bedroom, my bedroom, and then I saw him, Samir, sitting on the edge of our bed, but he wasn't alone. A woman stood in front of him, crying. She was holding something in her hands, documents, papers. He reached out, not like a stranger, but like someone who had done this many times before, comforting her, whispering things I couldn't hear. Then the camera angle shifted slightly, and my stomach dropped. It was my sister-in-law, Sana. My world tilted. The video jumped forward. Different day, same room. Sana was sitting beside him this time, her head lowered. He was speaking urgently. The audio cleared. I told you to be careful. If she finds out, everything will be destroyed. My marriage, my reputation, this family. Sana replied in a trembling voice. You promised me you'd tell her after the anniversary. Anniversary. My anniversary. The video ended there. I dropped the phone onto the kitchen counter like it had burned me. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My ears rang. My heart pounded so loud I was sure someone else could hear it. I wanted to scream, to deny it, to throw the phone against the wall and pretend it was all fake. But I couldn't, because the bedspread was mine. The curtains were mine. The man was my husband, and the betrayal was living under my roof. Footsteps echoed behind me. I turned quickly, wiping my face. My mother-in-law stood at the doorway, watching me carefully. Why are you so pale? Is everything all right? I looked at her, the woman who always said family secrets should stay inside the house. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This video didn't feel like a revelation. It felt like a warning. Because whoever sent it didn't want sympathy. They wanted timing. And I suddenly understood why. Because that evening, my husband thought we were celebrating love, but I was already planning to cancel our anniversary. What I didn't know yet was that canceling dinner would be the smallest decision I'd make that day. I thought the video was the worst truth I'd uncover, but I was wrong, because when I confronted my husband, his reaction proved this betrayal wasn't new, and I wasn't the only one being fooled. I didn't confront him immediately. I don't know why. Maybe shock? Maybe survival instinct? But something inside me whispered, watch first, listen first. So I stayed quiet, too quiet. Samir came home around noon, humming softly, his phone in his hand. He smiled when he saw me, that familiar smile I used to trust without question. "Happy anniversary," he said casually, as if the word didn't stab straight through my chest. "We'll go out tonight, right? I told Ami not to cook." I nodded. That nod might have been the most dangerous lie I ever told. He leaned forward to kiss my forehead. I stiffened for half a second before forcing myself to relax. His touch felt foreign now, like it belonged to a stranger who had memorized my life. "You okay?" he asked. "You look tired." "I didn't sleep well," I replied. That part, at least, was true. He didn't notice anything else. That hurt more than the video itself. As he walked away to shower, I followed quietly and sat on the edge of the bed, the same bed from the video. I stared at the pillows, wondering how many nights I had slept peacefully while secrets were whispered inches away from my head. Then I heard voices. Samir hadn't closed the bathroom door completely. Through the crack, I heard him on the phone. "Yes," he said in a low tone. "Tonight. She's already excited." A pause. "No, Sana is fine. She's nervous, but Ami is managing her." My fingers dug into the mattress. Managing her. Another pause. "I know it's risky, but after tonight, everything changes." Everything changes. When he came out, towel around his neck, I stood up. "Samir," I said calmly, too calmly, "we need to talk." He froze for just a fraction of a second, a hesitation no loving husband should have on his anniversary. "Sure," he replied. "What's wrong?" I took a breath and held up my phone. "Who is Sana to you?" I asked. His face drained of color. "What kind of question is that?" He laughed nervously. "She's my sister." I pressed play. The video filled the room with silence and betrayal. Samir didn't move. He didn't interrupt. He didn't even try to grab the phone. He just stood there, watching his own truth unfold, like he'd already accepted it. When the video ended, the silence screamed. Finally, he spoke. "Who sent this to you?" That was his first question. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Let me explain." Not even, "This isn't what it looks like." Just fear of exposure. "You're worried about the wrong thing," I said, my voice shaking now. "Tell me how long." He sighed, rubbing his face. "Please," he said, "not today." That broke something inside me. "Not today?" I repeated. "You planned to tell her after the anniversary. You planned everything, but not the truth?" He looked at me then, really looked at me, and said words I will never forget. "It just happened, and then it became complicated, and then family got involved." "Family." I laughed bitterly. "So your mother knows?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Just then, the bedroom door creaked open. Sana stood there, eyes red, hands clenched together. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. Behind her, my mother-in-law appeared, calm and composed. "This is not the time to create drama. We'll talk after dinner." After dinner. after my anniversary, after my dignity. That was when I realized something far more painful than betrayal. I wasn't discovering a secret. I was the only one excluded from it. I thought confronting my husband would end the lies, but it only exposed the family plan behind them. And when I tried to cancel the anniversary dinner, my mother-in-law revealed just how far this betrayal was meant to go. I walked out of the bedroom before anyone could stop me. My legs felt weak, but my mind was clearer than it had ever been. I went straight to the living room and picked up my purse. My hands were shaking, not with fear anymore, but with anger. Clean, burning anger. "Where are you going?" my mother-in-law asked, following me. "I'm canceling the dinner," I replied. "There will be no anniversary celebration." Her face hardened instantly. "Don't be childish," she said. "Guests are already invited." That word hit me like a slap. "Guests?" I turned to face her. "You invited people?" Samir stepped in quickly. "It's nothing big," he said. "Just close relatives. We thought it would be nice." "We." I laughed, a sharp sound that didn't feel like it came from me. "You thought it would be nice to celebrate a marriage you've been destroying?" Sana stood near the stairs, silent, her eyes glued to the floor. I wanted to scream at her, to ask her how she could smile at me every morning while sharing secrets with my husband every night. But my anger was reserved for someone else now. "You knew," I said to my mother-in-law. "How long have you known?" She adjusted her dupatta calmly, too calmly. "Families survive on silence," she replied. "You are emotional right now. Sit down." That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. "No," I said firmly. "Families survive on truth. What you're doing is not protection, it's betrayal." Samir raised his voice for the first time. "Lower your tone. This is still my mother. And I am still your wife. Or at least I was, before you decided I didn't deserve honesty." My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Another message. This time it wasn't a video. It was screenshots. Messages between Samir and someone saved as A. They talked about money, about documents, about transferring a property after the anniversary, about making sure I stayed calm until everything was finalized. My chest tightened. The house. My house. The one my father had put in my name before he died. I looked up slowly. "You were planning to take my house," I whispered. Samir didn't deny it. Ami spoke instead. "It's for the family," she said. "Everything stays within the family." I stared at her in disbelief. "I am your family." She looked away. That hurt more than anything else. "So the anniversary," I said softly, "wasn't about love." No one answered. It was a distraction, a performance, a way to keep me smiling while you prepared to take everything. Sana finally spoke, tears rolling down her face. "I didn't want this to happen like this. But you let it every single day." I walked toward the door. "You can't just leave," Samir said. "People are coming." I turned back one last time. "Let them come," I said. "Let them eat. Let them celebrate. But they won't be celebrating my marriage." I stepped outside, breathing in the cold air like it was the first breath of my life. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. One final message appeared on the screen. If you stay tonight, you lose everything. If you leave now, you'll finally see who sent the video and why. My heart raced. I realized then that the anonymous sender wasn't finished, and neither was this story, because the person exposing my husband's secret was someone even closer than family. I thought leaving the house would give me peace, but it led me straight into another truth. In the next part, I finally discover who sent the video and why they waited until my anniversary to destroy everything. I didn't go far. I sat in my car just outside the gate, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my fingers hurt. My phone felt heavier than ever. I stared at the last message again and again. If you leave now, you'll finally see who sent the videos and why. My heart told me not to trust anyone anymore, but curiosity and something closer to justice pushed me forward. I typed back one word: where? The reply came almost instantly. Check your father's old office, the locked drawer. My breath caught. That office had been untouched since my father passed away. Samir had always insisted we keep it locked, saying it was emotionally unhealthy for me to go through old things. I believed him. I always believed him. I drove there on instinct. The small office smelled like dust and memories. I unlocked the drawer easily. My father had once shown me where he kept the spare key. Inside were old files, property papers, and a small USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop. What I saw next made my stomach churn. There were recordings, audio files this time, conversations between Samir and his mother, conversations about me, about how soft I was, about how marrying me was a strategic decision because my father had no sons. One recording stood out. Ami's voice was clear. After the anniversary, we finalize the transfer. She won't suspect anything. She trusts you too much. Samir replied, laughing softly. She always has. I slammed the laptop shut, tears streaming down my face. So this wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. My phone buzzed again. This time, a name appeared. Aisha, my cousin, my closest friend growing up. I answered without thinking. It was me, she said before I could speak. I sent the videos. I sank into the chair. Why? I whispered. Because I was supposed to be next, she replied. She told me everything. How Samir had approached her months ago, asking for help with family matters. How Ami had hinted that if something happened to me emotionally, the family would still take care of things. How she overheard Sana crying one night, saying she felt trapped in something she couldn't escape. They were using all of us, Aisha said. I waited for proof. Your anniversary was the day everything was supposed to be signed. I closed my eyes. My celebration was their deadline. I didn't want to ruin your life, she continued, but I couldn't let them steal it. For the first time that day, I felt gratitude instead of pain. I returned home quietly after sunset. The house was full of guests. Laughter echoed through the walls. Decorations glowed. My wedding photo sat proudly at the entrance, mocking me. Samir spotted me and rushed over. "Where did you go?" he hissed. "People are asking." I looked at him calmly. "I went to collect my truth," I said. Then I walked straight to the center of the room. I tapped my glass gently. "I have an announcement," I said, smiling politely. The room fell silent. "This anniversary is canceled." Gasps filled the room. "And before anyone eats, there's something this family should hear." I connected my phone to the speakers and pressed play. I thought revealing the truth would end the betrayal, but what happened next shattered the family beyond repair. Because my husband didn't beg, he threatened, and that changed everything.
The recording filled the room like poison gas. Every laugh died, every smile froze. My father-in-law's spoon clattered onto his plate. Guests exchanged confused glances, unsure whether to stand or run. My mother-in-law didn't move. She didn't look shocked. She looked exposed. Samir lunged toward the speaker. "Turn it off," he shouted. I held the phone higher. "Don't," I said calmly. "Everyone deserves to hear how this family planned my future without me." The recording continued. His laughter, her instructions, their certainty that I was manageable. A guest whispered my name. My mother-in-law finally spoke. "This is private family business," she said firmly. "You are humiliating us." "No," I replied. "You humiliated me in silence. I'm just being loud about it." Samir grabbed my wrist and pulled me aside, his grip painful. "Are you trying to destroy me?" he hissed. I looked him straight in the eyes. "You destroyed us long before today." His voice dropped lower, colder. "You don't know what you're doing. That house, that money, you can't fight us." Us. I pulled my hand free. "I'm not fighting," I said. "I'm leaving." That's when his mask finally slipped. "If you walk out," he whispered, "I'll make sure you regret it." I froze. Threats sound different when they come from someone who once promised to protect you. My father-in-law stood up abruptly. "Enough," he said. "End this madness." I turned to him. "You knew too, didn't you?" He didn't deny it. Sana was crying openly now. "I tried to stop it," she sobbed. "I swear." But stopping it would have meant telling me, and she never did. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. My mother-in-law blocked my path. "You leave with nothing, not respect, not support, not family." I smiled sadly. "Then I leave lighter." I stepped outside as whispers exploded behind me. The moment I crossed the gate, my phone buzzed again. Samir. A message. "You think this is over? I have things you don't want exposed." My hands trembled, but I didn't reply, because I already knew something he didn't. The documents in my father's office weren't just about property. They included copies of transactions, illegal ones, transfers made in my name without my consent. I drove straight to my aunt's house that night. She hugged me tightly, no questions asked. That kindness almost broke me. Later, alone in the guest room, I opened my laptop again. There was one last file on the USB. A scanned agreement, signed, dated, planned for the day after my anniversary. It wasn't just betrayal, it was fraud. And for the first time since morning, I smiled, not because I was happy, but because I was no longer powerless. Samir thought silence protected him. He was wrong.
because the next step wouldn't be emotional, it would be legal and public. I thought walking away would be the end, but it was only the beginning. In the next part, I take the truth outside the family, and my husband realizes control is the one thing he's finally lost.
Morning came quietly. No phone calls, no messages, no apologies. That silence was louder than all the shouting from the night before. I sat at my aunt's dining table, staring at my tea as if it held answers. My hands no longer shook. Somewhere between betrayal and survival, something in me had settled. I made 3 calls that morning: a lawyer, a bank manager, and the one person I never thought I'd involve, my father's old friend who handled his legal affairs. Each call confirmed what I already suspected. "What they did is serious," the lawyer said. "Very serious." For years I had been the quiet wife, the adjusting one, the woman who believed patience was strength. That morning I learned something different. Patience without boundaries is permission. By noon, Samir finally called. I let it ring. He called again, and again. When I answered, I didn't say his name. "You've embarrassed us," he snapped. "Everyone knows now." I smiled to myself. "Good. You're acting like a stranger," he said. "Come home. We'll fix this." 6. Another word that used to mean hope. I already did. I fixed myself. His tone changed. "You don't understand how families work." "I understand exactly," I said. "That's why I left." He went quiet for a moment. Then he tried something else, softer, sweeter. "Think about Ami," he said. "Think about Sana. Think about how people will talk." I closed my eyes. For years, I had lived my life afraid of people talking. "I am done thinking about everyone who never thought about me," I said, and ended the call. That afternoon, a message arrived from my mother-in-law. Not an apology, a command. "Return the documents. This matter stays within the family." I forwarded the message to my lawyer. Then I blocked her, something I never imagined doing. That evening, Aisha came over. She hugged me tightly. "They're scared. They didn't think you'd fight back." I nodded. Neither did I. The legal notice went out the next morning. Formal, calm, precise. It demanded explanations for unauthorized transactions, misuse of authority, and coercion. By afternoon, Samir showed up at my aunt's house, uninvited. He looked different, smaller. "Please," he said quietly, "let's talk." I stepped outside to avoid a scene. "This doesn't have to be ugly," he said. "It already was," I replied. "Think about our memories," he insisted. I thought about the nights I cried alone, the dinners where silence replaced love, the anniversary that was never meant to be mine. "I am," I said. "That's why I won't go back." His jaw tightened. "You'll regret this," he said. I met his gaze without fear. "So will you." He left without another word. That night, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One last message. "You did the right thing, but be careful. They haven't told you everything yet." My heart sank, because I knew what that meant. The betrayal wasn't finished, and the final truth would hurt the most. I thought I had uncovered every lie, but the final secret was still buried. In the last part, I learn what my husband was hiding even from his own family, and why my anniversary had to be the chosen day. I didn't sleep that night. The message echoed in my mind like a ticking clock. They haven't told you everything yet. By morning, I was done waiting. I met my lawyer at his office just after sunrise. He looked serious in a way that made my chest tighten before he even spoke. "There's something else," he said. "Something your husband never disclosed." He slid a file across the table. Inside were documents tied to a loan. A large one, taken in my name, secured against my house, my father's house. My hands went numb. "He defaulted on it months ago," the lawyer continued. "The anniversary wasn't just about transferring property. It was about distracting you until the bank finalized recovery." I stared at the papers. So that was it. The celebration, the guests, the timing. They weren't celebrating love. They were racing against consequences. I felt sick, not because of the money, but because of how calculated it all was. Even the betrayal had a schedule. That afternoon, I went back to the house one last time. Not to argue, not to beg, to end it. My mother-in-law was sitting in the living room when I entered. She looked tired, older. "You should have listened. This could have stayed contained." "Contained?" I asked. "You mean hidden." Samir appeared behind her. I placed the loan documents on the table. "This," I said, "ends today." He didn't speak, didn't deny, didn't threaten, because there was nothing left. "I loved you," I said to him, "not the idea of you, the real you, or at least who I thought you were." He looked away. "That woman never existed," he muttered. "I know. That's why I'm done." I handed over the divorce papers. Signed. Prepared. Final. My mother-in-law stood abruptly. "You'll regret this," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "No," I replied softly. "I already survived it." I walked out without looking back. The bank matter was settled within weeks. Painful, yes, but clean. The house stayed mine. The truth stayed public. The family that once controlled my silence now avoided my name. On the day that would have marked our 6th anniversary, I did something different. I visited my father's grave. "I protected it," I whispered. "Everything you gave me." For the first time in years, I felt peace. Not because life was perfect, but because it was honest. Some people asked me if I missed him. I told them the truth. I don't miss someone who never chose me. Family betrayal doesn't always come with screaming or violence. Sometimes it comes wrapped in celebrations, in smiles, in anniversaries. But the moment I canceled mine, I didn't lose a marriage. I reclaimed myself.